Hi Meredith. Sorry to take so long to get back to you. I just got back from Thanksgiving weekend, but I see your question here, and I have actually seen this before. Someone was in with it last week. So this is a pretty tricky question. I'm not sure that he meant to make it this tricky. It's just that it's a lot of work. F of g inverse at 10 is how you would say what he's asking you to find. So if we start with f of g, which is the part in the brackets, what it means is we're putting g into function f. So that part, f of g, sorry, my stylus is kind of funky here. F of g is the square root of the 3x over x minus 5 all squared minus 4 times the 3x, oh, it's sticky, over x minus 5, and then minus 5. Sorry if that's hard to read. My stylus is kind of sticky. So that's your f of g. Now you need f of g inverse. And so f of g is really your y. It's the same thing. And for an inverse, for this part of it, you're going to switch x and y. So instead of y right here, you're going to write x, and instead of all of these x's, you're going to replace them with y's. Okay? So the next step in your solution is going to be to square both sides. And you might as well go ahead and substitute for x. You're going to substitute the value 10 because that's what they're telling you there. So I'm going to start another page here and show you what that looks like. And so you'll end up with 10 equals the square root of that whole thing that I just gave you, only it'll say, 3y over y minus 5 all squared minus 4 times 3y over y minus 5, and then minus 5 like that. To get yourself out of this pickle, what you need to do is square both sides, so we get 100 on this side, and now what we're going to have, what on earth? Sorry, that should say 2. Don't know where we got the 5 there. What you're going to have now is all of these guys without the square root sign. Okay. So what we do from there is we keep working at it. Let's bring the 5 over and add it with 100 just to make things a little better, a little easier. We're going to get 9y squared here from the squared one, and y minus 5 on the bottom. And then let's make this 12y, that's 4 times 3y, over y minus 5. If you use a common denominator here, then the 9y squared can stay, and the 12y would have to be multiplied by another y minus 5, and then that whole thing would be over y minus 5 squared. So if you work that out by multiplying, by distributing the minus 12y into the bracket, you're going to get 105. Bring that denominator over here and multiply it by 105. You're going to get 9y squared minus 12y squared plus 60y. If you expand over on this side by squaring your binomial and multiplying everything by 105, and you bring everything over to one side and set it equal to 0, then you can solve for y in this equation, and that's the value that you're trying to find. I believe. I think that's what he's after. It's a kind of a crazy, scary question. So I'll leave it up to you to finish off. I think you're going to have to use quadratic formula to actually solve for y in this case once you get it all simplified, but at least that gets you to the point that you need to be. Okay?